Welcome to an all-new episode of Hatching for Health, where our mission is to create a platform for people to tell their story, to educate the public, and to build a more compassionate community. And I'm your host, Jessica Hatch. Today, I'm honored to be here with Liam, his mom, and his sister, and grandma to share their incredible story. We're also going to be joined virtually by Dr. Salazar, the cardiothoracic pediatric surgeon who helped repair Liam's heart. When his family was at their local children's hospital, they were told Liam's heart was missing one of the 4 chambers and were pressured to put him either on hospice or immediately add him to a transplant list. It was an overwhelming and frightening situation for them, but Liam's mom refused to accept that path and didn't feel right about it for her child. She wanted to explore every possible option to give him a real chance. And that's when they reached out to me through the Hatching for Health Foundation. I was able to connect them with Dr. Salazar, who has an extensive experience in complex pediatric heart repairs. And even though the hospital that tried to discourage this second opinion, Liam's mom collected his medical records and shared them with Dr. Salazar. When he reviewed them, he discovered that Liam had been misdiagnosed. He did have a left atrium, which meant a full repair was possible. That very night, Dr. Salazar performed the surgery and successfully repaired Liam's heart. Thanks to her advocacy and his expertise, Liam now has a second chance at life and he's fully healthy, sitting with his family on set. We're so grateful to be here today with Liam, his sister, his mom, and grandma, and to have Dr. Salazar joining us via Zoom. They're here to share their story and journey firsthand as a powerful reminder that courage, persistence, and standing up for what's right can truly save a life. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Liam's mom so she can tell us about her experience. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. I'm glad your daughter joined us. So tell me, I wanted to kind of get right into it and just learn, like, you know, the story from, you know, when you're pregnant. I actually wanted to start with an anatomy scan because I know that that's a lot of times where these things get discovered. Yes. So maybe start there for us.
Okay, so during our 20-week anatomy scan, that is when they sent us back to maternal fetal medicine so we can get a more in-depth echocardiogram of Liam's heart because they had already suspected that something wasn't looking right. Once we went in for that 20-week anatomy scan, it took about an hour. The ultrasound tech was very quiet. Everybody was looking a bit suspicious. So at that moment, I knew that something was wrong because I'm like, why is it taking them so long to see what they need, what they're looking for? So we waited about 15 minutes and they took us back to a room. And at this local children's hospital, once we went into the room, it was about 5 different doctors in there, and they explained Liam's heart condition, which at that moment they said he had tricuspid atresia. He has pulmonary atresia with IVS, but tricuspid atresia, it's basically the same thing. I mean, because the right side of the heart is tiny, so that means that the heart doesn't work like mine and your heart work. That right part is just doesn't function at all. It didn't develop during, you know, when he was in the womb. So it's a critical heart condition. The first thing they told me was, you don't have to go through your pregnancy. We don't do abortions in Texas, but we can give you a referral. You can go to another state. And since you're already this far along, you know, with the referral, you'll be able to have your abortion. And I said, absolutely not.
Yeah, my goodness. Yes. That was so traumatic. For one, you're going in to learn, like, okay, let's see everything and how well my baby's doing. I'm just 4 more months till, you know, and then especially the fact that they gave you information, that not saying that, like, he's going to, you know, not live. It's just like, there's a very critical scenario, but there's an option, you know, also. So it's like, that shouldn't even be something that, you know, that they direct to, but I can imagine that moment for you.
I was just in shock because I'm like, well, this is the best, you know, children's hospital. Why can't you guys fix it? And they said, well, you know, once he's born, there is something that we can do. It would be a 3-step palliation but for his heart condition, they said once he's born, we have to really see with the heart cath what the problem actually is. So I said, okay, and then they said, what did you decide to do, Mom? Because if, you know, you carry on through your pregnancy and this baby makes it, he's going to have a very tough life. And I said, no, I'm going to give it a chance. They said, okay, get ready for a lot of appointments for high risk. And I said, okay, I'm ready. So after that, I just felt like my pregnancy, I couldn't enjoy it as a regular pregnancy. It was always on my mind, like, Liam, he's not going to have a normal life. So then a few weeks after that, they tell us, oh, and by the way, he's going to be born without a left hand. They said, but he'll be okay with that. It's his heart condition that's very critical.
Right.
So I said, okay. We made it until 37 weeks, and Liam was born via C-section. As soon as Liam was born, they intubated him immediately. They also gave him an IV medication to keep his PDA opened. I believe that's what it's called, Dr. Salazar. Until they can figure out what the next step is.
Okay.
So he never cried. He was immediately intubated. He was getting his nutrition through his IVs. He was so tiny. He weighed 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Oh, we were wondering, so immediately they took us to the farthest room at the end. And they were taking all of the babies to get their hard cats. And I'm like, we've been here before them. Liam was born a week before them. Why are they getting all this done before him? So I already knew, like, I think they know something, but they're not telling me.
Okay.
From the echocardiogram that he had after birth, they had already seen that or suspected that Liam didn't have his left coronary artery. So I think they were like, this family's here for the long run. Let's just throw them to the back and take our time because they're not leaving anytime soon. So after I kept asking, we need a hard cath. I need to know what the next step is. What's going to happen with my baby? Finally, they were like, all right. This was 2 weeks later.
I was going to say, so it was 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah, 2 weeks where this baby's just there, intubated, not crying. We can't hold him. So then they were like, okay, well, we're going to take him. And they took him.
I remember coming to visit you at the hospital, so it's just like within that early stage. So they took him to...
They took him to get his hard cath. And so afterwards, the hard cath doctor told us, okay, come into the room, we need to talk. So we went in there and he said, you see his heart, we had to shock it in the hard cath because it stopped. And I said, okay. He said, and also he was explaining to me that Liam didn't have a left coronary artery. He said, we couldn't do anything but place a stent in there for now, but the cardiologist will speak to you tomorrow and our case is closed.
And this was different from what the anatomy scan showed. This is now you're getting two separate stories, is that right?
Yes, so his anatomy scan showed tricuspid atresia.
Okay.
And then after his hard cath, they told me, the right side of his heart was tiny, but he also had something else going on to where they couldn't even repair his heart. So the next day, we went into a meeting with the chief cardiologist of this local children's hospital, and they told us, we're sorry, he doesn't have a left coronary artery. Here are the images. Besides that, he has pulmonary atresia with IVS. And I said, okay, so what about tricuspid atresia? They said, well, his tricuspid valve is hardly there either. So he just has hypoplastic right heart syndrome, I believe it's called. And I said, okay, so what's next? And they said, nothing. He needs a heart transplant. There's no other choice. You can, sign the paperwork for heart transplant. And just because you sign it doesn't mean that he's approved. You still have to go through screening. He has to go through blood work. We have to make sure that his family is fit.
It's like they're discouraging you from saving your baby's life. Like they're like,
yes.
That just sounds so bizarre. Like the approach that they're taking. Like you've just birthed this child. He's alive and his heart is beating. And then, you were told that there's a possible correction of surgery for him. And then now it's like a whole new heart has to be found. And
yes, I just felt like there was no compassion at all. So I said, okay, what's the other option? Because he's tiny. A heart transplant, okay, if he really needs it, then we would give him a chance at life, and give him a new heart. But what are the other options? They said, Mom, you can take him home on comfort care, which a hospice team will follow you. So they said, we're going to give you a little bit of time, but your baby is at high risk of having a heart attack, so you need to decide ASAP. So I was just there, and I was just thinking to myself, well, this is the best children's hospital in Houston. We're just going to go ahead and go, move forward and have him get the heart transplant. So then my mom, she works in the medical field, so she was saying that she's going to ask. Let me ask around. She said there has to be something else. There has to be another option for him. So I was like, no, Mom, we're at the best hospital. How could it be? If I take him anywhere, he's probably not going to make it. So she was saying, no, let me ask around. There has to be, other doctors that work with complex kids that have. Of course,
and we actually have your mom here
Yes.
with Liam. So let me go ahead and bring her out so she can be a part of this moment. So Alma, Miss Grandma, I wanted to bring you out. We're just starting to talk about little Liam in the moment of the hospital kind of saying, there's a heart transplant list you guys can go on, or you can go home with hospice. And then we were talking a little bit about you being in the medical industry and starting to reach out to contacts just to see about other options.
Yeah, so I was at work that day whenever they told her that he needed a heart transplant. And of course I work with Jay, which you know him, and they had gone to an event that you had did about heart
about
babies
heart,
yeah.
Yes.
So then when I told them that, of course I left and I went back to the hospital, and then he texted me I think a day later and said, hey, have you thought of a second opinion? So with everything going on, I hadn't even thought about it,
Right. Especially when you're at such a big hospital in
so
Houston.
then that's when he reached out to you, and then messages started coming in with Dr. Salazar's information and phone number, reached out to Dr. Salazar. So then I talked to her and the dad and said, what do y'all think? Should we go ahead and call him? We don't lose anything, by seeing what he has to say. And that's whenever we called Dr. Salazar and gave us like a lot of hope that, for us to bring him to the hospital where he was working at that time.
When you reached out, I remember that opportunity where I was like, being that there's these other doctors in a different medical group, complete different hospital, but hey, that's where a second opinion would come from.
Right.
I remember, you kind of saying, okay, I'm going to give it to my daughter. I don't know what she'll want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that you just don't. I guess in those moments, you don't even think they're. 2 weeks old, like about a second opinion. It's like you feel like all the answers should be right here. But I remember that you were like, let me take the number. And so did you guys reach out to him?
Yeah. So we were at the hospital in the little waiting room, and we reached out to Dr. Salazar, and so thankful for him because he took our call and he explained to us, I have babies with Liam's condition, at home, and I bring him to me, send me his medical records, and we moved really quick in that. Everything just happened so fast, and I know it was the grace of God, God that did everything. So then we sent Dr. Salazar the information, and he looked at it and said, I can fix him, bring him over to me.
We do have Dr. Salazar on Zoom. I wish he was here in person.
I know, me
Grace
too.
us with his presence. We're inspired by stories like Liam's because they remind us of the power of hope, advocacy, and community. None of this would be possible without the support of our incredible sponsors and the viewers like you who make the Hatching for Health Foundation's work possible. Stay tuned and we'll be right back after a short message from our sponsors.
Your private practice deserves more than sticky notes and missed calls. Funnel Cake MD is the HIPAA-compliant growth platform built for doctors and dentists. Manage calls, texts, and emails in one secure inbox. Book more patients, cut the admin chaos, and keep your front desk sane. Try it free for 14 days with full white glove onboarding so you're running smooth from day one. Don't let outdated software hold you back. Sweeten your growth with Funnel Cake MD. Start your free trial now at funnelcakemd.ai.
Funnel Cake MD, all-in-one tool to grow your practice.
Have you been seriously injured in an automobile accident or 18-wheeler? Come on in to Thurlow & Associates, 713-CALL-TOM. Come on in, meet our attorneys and our friendly staff. Let us give you a free case evaluation. Hire an experienced attorney, more than 30 years in practice, and 10,000 satisfied clients. Thurlow & Associates, 713-CALL-TOM.
welcome back from commercial break. And I wanted to say thank you guys so much for sharing this beautiful story with us. It's truly inspiring to hear just the courage and the persistence that you guys went through. And now we're fortunate to have Dr. Salazar join us via Zoom. And Dr. Salazar is a cardiac thoracic pediatric surgeon who reviewed Liam's records and discovered the correct diagnosis and performed this life-saving heart repair. Dr. Salazar, we're so grateful to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. Great to see you all.
Yeah, you're not around the corner like you normally are, but it's really good to be able to just kind of connect the dots to this story that really you made a miracle happen for them. So tell us a little bit about when you received that phone call. I know you receive a lot of these phone calls, but being right here in Houston, knowing that they're just a drive away for you to get your hands on them to help. But tell us about that moment when the family engaged with you.
Well, you're right. We get a lot of phone calls from families, looking for hope, looking for solutions, as you were describing previously. And when I first spoke to Mom, I had this sense that, well, first of all, her instincts were very strong to protect her son. And as you know, there's nothing stronger than a mother's instincts. And so I've learned to listen to that over the years and frankly, help them find solutions for their children. And so when she called me about Liam, described the situation, a situation I've heard about previously, I thought that there was a way that we could help. In fact, I was committed to finding a way to help.
So the records that you were provided, I guess, showed you kind of what they had been in fact told, which tell me about that was I guess the condition that they had given the diagnosis of. What was that exactly?
Well, a lot of patients are diagnosed with heart defects while still in the womb, and the imaging is very good, but it's not perfect, of course, because having to perform the ultrasound through Mom and through the uterus, it's not always possible to see all of the details. And so in Liam's case, what they thought was true during the pregnancy turned out to be slightly different afterwards, and that's actually quite common. So we always ask the moms, the families, to take the information with a little bit of a grain of salt. And my personal experience is that we have to double check everything after the babies are born and make sure that we don't have any preconceived ideas imposed on the baby in terms of what the diagnosis is and what their future is. And Liam's situation, as you already know, is very much in line with that experience, that we have to be very careful not to allow the preconceived ideas of what we think is going on to allow that to get in the way of solutions for an individual baby like Liam.
And it's incredible how fast you guys move, Dr. Salazar. I mean, we're talking about
the same day.
I don't know, like 24, 48 hours where, you looked at everything and you're transporting him over there, doing your immediate CT scan, and then operating. I mean, all in that same few hours. Is that right?
Yes.
That's true. The babies don't know what day it is. They don't know if it's a Monday or a Tuesday or a Sunday. They don't know if it's Christmas or my wife's birthday. They just know that they need help. And our job is to provide that help, not based on what's convenient for our own schedules, but based on what the babies need. And it was very clear to me that Liam needed help, and we were able to provide it. So honestly, I didn't see any reason to wait because he was only going to get worse and his risk would only go up. And I remember talking to Mom and Grandmom about this, is that it seems a little bit sudden, but we understand what the situation is. We see a path forward. We're ready to act in faith, also based on a lot of experience. And I don't remember what success rate I quoted to you, but I remember believing in my heart that that success rate was going to be very high. And without intervention or surgery, the success rate was going to be close to zero. I do perform heart transplant, and I've performed, many heart transplants in children. But I think that heart transplant, while an amazing option, also has other issues that come along with it. And of course, with heart transplant, the organ that's donated doesn't last forever. And so it's always better to keep your own heart if you can. And so we were thrilled to be able to offer that type of pathway and repair for Liam. And honestly, because of mom and grandmom's love, and I remember telling you this, that you were injecting your love into him, and that's why he was doing so well. Well, it's true. It's because of love and commitment and faith that these babies do well. And our job as physicians, as healthcare providers, is not to get in the way.
I love that.
Yes.
As we're wrapping up, I want to bring Liam back out just to give him a little FaceTime with one of his miracles.
The El Capa that once you went in, Dr. Salazar,
Oh, yeah,
and you
what is-
actually
Is El Capa, so there's 3 different names here. Which one, is El Capa an additional?
because that was not
repaired
he
that
was
already.
he repaired it. He found it when he opened them up.
Okay, so that was something additional that
Yeah.
took place.
Yes.
That was undetected at Texas Children.
Undetected.
The tricky part about kids with complex congenital heart defects is that usually there's like 3, 4, 5, or 6 components of it. And we do our best to see everything ahead of time, but we have to also go into the operating room with an open mind and open eyes to make sure that we don't miss the 6th diagnosis. And because as human beings, we tend to assume that there's only 1 or maybe 2 things to fix. And so I've just learned from experience now over these last, 30 years or so, that when I go in to operate, my main job is to restore normal connections and functioning of the heart as much as is possible. And in doing that, I have to go in and essentially investigate what is true and confirm it before leaving the operating room. So, as mom and grandmom said, the left coronary artery was not attached where it was supposed to be attached. It was actually attached somewhere else, which is to the pulmonary artery, and that's called Al Kappa. But this is all within the spectrum of a diagnosis called pulmonary atresia intact ventricular septum. And the kids with pulmonary atresia intact ventricular septum that have coronary atresia or malformed coronaries, they are in the highest risk category. And that's why many programs like the one that he was sent from turn these kids down or will only offer transplant. And I've found that approach is based on current experience, old-fashioned. And even though it is true that the data demonstrate that, I've found that with an open mind and taking into account what we've learned over these last 20 years, that we can offer better solutions to the children and in many cases avoid a transplant.
Liam, thank you for joining us.
Say
Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Say thank
Hi.
you.
Thank you so much. So I did have just a few other questions, from a clinical standpoint. That anatomy scan that we talked about early on at 5 months, how accurate is that, for a parent to kind of take that information?
So are you referring to the ultrasound done during the pregnancy?
Well, the anatomy scan at 5 months, that she learned, okay, there is something going on with his heart, and so now those next 4 months are just, for a parent or a future mother, well, of 2 technically, just what you go through, and okay, now this information has been given to me, but just how accurate are they compared to when they actually are born?
Yeah, so I think that they're very accurate, and almost always the diagnosis that's made by a fetal echocardiogram is 95 to 98% accurate. And it's always within the ballpark of when the babies are actually born. It's always within the ballpark of what we're seeing while they're in the womb. But it's important to understand that ultrasound is not perfect. Ultrasound is not a crystal ball. And ultrasound being performed through mom's abdomen, through mom's uterus, and then trying to do a careful ultrasound on a baby who's squirming around inside of the uterus is very challenging. And so I always tell moms, now that I've taken care of, thousands of moms with the fetal cardiac diagnosis, I always tell the moms when I meet them that the general idea of the ultrasound will most likely be true, but the fine details we have to double check and confirm after your baby's born, because then we can actually perform an ultrasound or echocardiogram directly on your baby's chest where we're seeing the heart directly. And For complex situations like Liam's, that principle of taking it with a grain of salt is even more important because the first diagnosis, the second diagnosis, and the third diagnosis may be easy to see, but there are some diagnoses that are difficult to see by ultrasound, the fourth, fifth, and sixth, as in his case.
Correct. Being that it was like tricuspid and then it became a pulmonary artery, so very, very different. But there's also those 5 more months that they're, growing and forming. So but it's beautiful that there obviously are experts like you to diagnose these things and have second opinions. So is there any advice kind of that you would like to give anybody tuning in, any other parents, maybe in a similar situation, just a bit of advice for them?
Well, sure. I think the most important advice that I can give any mom, and I know Liam's mom will remember me saying this, is to trust your own instincts as a mother, because there's nothing more powerful in the world than that. And now that I've taken care of probably 10,000 babies in my career, that means I've known 10,000 moms, and it's made a big impression on me. Plus, my own wife is a mama bear. She's a very strong mother with very strong instincts, and I've learned to trust them as well. So the most important thing I can tell these moms is trust your own instincts, have faith, and you will be the most important advocate for your child.
Right. Well, thank you. It's been incredible having you on and you to be able to tell your story. Yes. I know it's still emotional, but I think it's really important for others to hear it, and you guys are so very blessed, and Liam's thriving and so precious. So thank you guys both, and thank your mommy and daughter as well for joining us, and our little baby Liam. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Salazar, for taking time to join us. I know you're very busy over there with this new program, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's my honor.
Yes, and thank you for joining us and telling your story. It's beautiful, and we will stay connected in many ways.
Yes, we will.
Watch little Liam grow. So it is time for this week's Golden Egg Raffle from our Hatching for Health Foundation. We're thrilled to announce that Yard House has generously donated gift cards for delicious dinner for you. And if you want to win, you just need to send us a direct message on Instagram or Facebook and enter the raffle. And one lucky winner will be selected this week. Thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of the Hatching for Health Foundation family. Stories like Liam's remind us as why we do what we do, supporting families, advocating for children, and bringing hope where it is most needed. None of this will be possible without the generosity of people like you. Every donation, big or small, helps families access the care, the resources, and support that they need during some of the most challenging times of their lives. If you feel inspired to help, please consider making a donation to the Hatching for Health Foundation. Your contribution directly impacts the lives of children and their families, giving them a chance at a brighter and healthier future. From all of us at Hatching for Health Foundation, thank you for your support, your kindness, and your belief in our mission. Together, we'll make a real difference, one family at a time. And I'm your host, Jessica Hatch. We'll see you next week right back here.